It's Friday, it's puck time, no hockey until Monday, but this is our Stanley Cup preview show. All the boys with us. Andrew McInnis from sportsmemo.com, Alex Badass Smith from sportsmemo.com, and the bald man himself, the Italian stallion, the dude who missed his plane to Vegas yesterday and fucked his entire trip up, a trip that he's been planning since he was in high school. Carmine Bianco from WagerTalk.com.
I didn't quite miss the plane. I travel a lot, and I got sent to secondary, and they told me that, believe it or not, that my passport was reported lost. I'm like, dude, it's like right here in my hand.
What?
And because it was reported lost, you're until you get a sticker inside your passport from Passport Canada that says replacement for lost passport, they will not let you fly in the U.S. A gutter. It absolutely sucked. But I set my friends up. We're in Vegas with their hotel. They're having dinner tomorrow night at Lavo on me, so they're all happy.
Okay, boys, let's get into it. I'm on a nice run in hockey, feeling really good. I got a 5% play up for Monday. It's already up now at WagerTalk.com. You can have it for $9. Everybody else, Carmine, you're just on a ridiculous run right now. Congratulations to you. Alex and Andrew, I'm at WagerTalk. You're at Sports Memo, so I don't fully follow how you guys are doing. But nobody is doing better than Marco and Tony in baseball. And I know this is a hockey show, but Tony is on an 8-0 and 17-2 baseball run. Marco's on, yeah, that's ridiculous. Marco's on an 8-0 baseball run as well. Guys, what we're going to do is we're going to keep this show short and tight because we're going to do another one on Monday. We're literally just going to focus on futures. I'll go to all three of you really quick. Andrew, I'll start with you, and we'll start with the series price, and then we'll get into when it's how many games, etc. But right now we have St. Louis at plus 135, Boston at minus 155. And let me tell you, if this was even money, I would take Boston. With that said, I think the value play here is actually on St. Louis. I think St. Louis matches up really well with Boston. I think, with St. Louis is a slower team. Boston is a slower team. St. Louis's defense is outstanding. I think they could lock in on that number one line on Boston. And most importantly, guys, Boston lives and dies on the power play. St. Louis is one of the most disciplined teams in all of hockey. Out of the 31 teams, I think they were 26th or 27th in penalty minutes. I think they'll really keep the Boston power play off the ice. And in 5-on-5, I think they might be the better side. I like St. Louis here as a future bet to win the series strictly from a value play. Andrew?
No, there certainly is value on it, but I'm still going to ride with the team I've been riding with throughout the entire playoffs. That's the Boston Bruins. When you mentioned them matching up well together, though, I certainly do agree with that. You look at the Boston Bruins, they've had 19 different goal scorers throughout this playoff run for them. St. Louis Blues have had 18 different goal scorers throughout their playoff run. So we've been able to see depth scoring for both teams. But the difference is that top line for the Boston Bruins, although, like you said, is mainly been strong in the power play, I think they're far, far better than the top guys for St. Louis. They've accounted for nearly 34% of the goals for the Bruins during this playoff run, and I don't think they're going to slow down. And the biggest thing for the playoffs is experience, and that's exactly what this Bruins team has overall. You look at Binnington even during the regular season compared to the playoffs. He's let in some goals this playoffs that he has not let in the regular season. And Rask has played outstanding, 1.84 goals against average. And he had a shutout when he closed out Columbus series, and he shut out when he closed out the Hurricane series. He's ready to go. I think this is, the Bruins Cup to lose, essentially. I think they'll be ready to go here. An interesting fact here, though, guys, the Blues are 9-1 in the playoffs when leading after 6 minutes into the game. So 9-1 after. So it's really important for them to get off to a really good start, get that first goal. And like you said, Prez, stay disciplined, stay out of the box is going to be a big thing because we all know coming into this one, the special teams battle does go to the Boston Bruins. I mean, like you said, they barely take penalties, but their power play is also horrible. It's awful, the St. Louis Blues. So the Bruins will make you pay on special teams. I get what you're saying with your value play. As far as I look at the Bruins to win in 6 at plus 400. I'd also look at the Bruins to win game 1 and the series at minus 110. Pulled that one in the Columbus series, and that ended up going pretty well. So I don't really buy into the whole rust thing. I hate hearing about that. Too many people are talking about that. This Bruins team won't be rusty. They'll come out ready to go.
Agreed. Alex, really quick, what are your thoughts here?
I like Boston in this series. Like I said, I would kind of wait to jump in because we're seeing that price kind of move around. It was at as high as minus $1.65, and now it's down to 155, 150. So you still got a couple more days to jump in, possibly get an even better price on that. But, as you mentioned, both these teams have played generally slow during the regular season. But things have kind of changed in the playoffs, especially with Boston. Boston can play up-tempo. We saw it in the first round with Toronto. We saw that a little bit as well. They were pretty much out-skating Carolina in that 4-game series. Well, even Columbus, all fast-skating teams, they were able to keep pace, if not outmatch them. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. Like you said, there's tons of depth and balance on both these teams. That the real X factor is goaltending. You got a veteran goalie in Rask who's been to 2 Cup Finals, won one before. Where Binnington, as sharp as he looked all during the regular season, I've been a big fan of his during the season. Just not as sharp at times during the playoffs. Obviously, when it counts, he's been able to get them through. But the thing we've seen too with both these teams is early in the series, there's been a lot of goals, and then things tend to slow down late. So I'd be looking at overs early in the series, and then unders later as this goes on. One huge future to look at, David Pastrnak. You can find him as high as 20-1 to win the Conn Smythe. He's second in for both in this series. Even with Rask and Binnington, obviously goalies are always something to look at with Conn Smythe trophy, but I think Pastrnak offers some great value at 18 or 20-1.
He does offer great value, but the bottom line is Rask is playing the best hockey he's probably played ever, and I cannot see him losing that Conn Smythe if Boston goes on to win. Yo, bold guy, what do you think?
Mine's pretty easy. Okay, obviously we know I love the Blues because I've got futures on the Blues. But much like anything else, I'm always hedging out to guarantee a profit. I did it a couple years ago, betting 7,000 in the Champions League final against Juventus because it didn't matter who won. I was going to make 6-7K. Same thing here. I've got Blues at 14-1. I'll be hedging out, not because I don't think the Blues can win. I actually think they can win this series. It's because I like money better than loyalty to teams. That said, I don't think this is a series where the Bruins should be minus 160 as well as they are and the experience they have. This is essentially a coin flip. This is like betting, to me, 40 on heads or tails. This is going to be a tight series. The Blues have adapted every single series. They played a Washington team that came at them quick. Sorry, not a Washington team. Sorry, what I meant, a Winnipeg team. And they made Winnipeg play their game. They then played a Minnesota team, a Dallas team, where they had to play a defensive style game. And now the same thing with a Sharks team that moved the puck really well out of their own end. They literally hammered that defense it's over again.
Carm, it's such a great point what you're making because all three of those teams were so different in style. And yet you're right. I mean, St. Louis adjusted to each and every one of them and really didn't put a losing streak down. I mean, they made those adjustments quick.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not taking anything away from Boston because I still say, and I've said in previous shows, Boston's toughest opponent to date was the Leafs.
Yes.
It's a series that they probably should have lost. It's the only team that I think matched up so well with Boston that should have beaten Boston. But obviously it didn't happen. I think Columbus was right for the picking after that big upset. And even sort of in the last round with Carolina. Carolina sort of, they ran their course in that thing. But give Boston credit. I love Tuukka Rask. The guy's playing unbelievable. This is a goaltender series as I see it. And the first one to blink goaltender-wise. Listen, the Blues on January 2nd were in last, 65 points, the most points. Binnington, 24-5. He's got 12 wins in the playoffs as a rookie goaltender. And we've seen, I think it's Carey Price and a couple others. I'm not sure who they were, or is it Patrick Waugh as rookies? I'm not really sure who the goalies were, with 15 type wins. He could have snapped and totally lost it after that game 4 or whatever it was, where they lost 5-4 in overtime, and he did snap in the game. How did he respond to it? He allowed 2 goals in his next 3 games. You know what I mean? Although against a hurting Sharks team, still 2 goals in 3 games he allowed. It's a goaltender series. Rask, Binnington, I absolutely love it. They're both great goalies. I am going to go for the Blues to win this series. They're plus 135 at Bet365. I've taken them. And there's a couple good ones. If you like the Blues to win in 6, you're going to get a plus 200. Or if you think the Blues have the lead after 3 games, which is obviously either sweeping in Boston or taking one in Boston, winning one at home, you get plus 175 on the Blues to lead the series after 3 games. So it's not a bad one. And by conversely, if you think the Bruins win on Monday night and then never trail in the series, you can get them at plus 150. So instead of playing them on Monday night at minus 155, if you figure they're going to win on Monday night, and then, the chances they're going to trail in the series are pretty slim, I think, at that point.
I agree. There's so many ways to avoid the terrible series price.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to avoid the series price.
Those are all really good points, guys. Listen, I gotta go. I just, too much is going on. Every show got taped late today. Let's go with the 4 of us again on Monday. We'll talk a little bit more futures. We'll talk about the game on Monday night. Alex, I know it's Memorial Day.
I'll be all good to go.
Okay, so let's finish this up on Monday, boys. 2 of us like the Blues, 2 of us like Boston. Have yourselves an outstanding, great weekend. Everyone, make sure to listen to Morning Joe and the Pro with Marco and myself, NBA, and First Pitch with Dave Koken and Brian Leonard. Boys, love you. Have a great weekend. Hanging up.
Good luck, guys.
Thanks, Prez. See you guys.